vest. As you might know if you saw the last video, I'm building a Black Flag tribute vest for fun, strictly for fun, because I do love Black Flag a lot. And I, talked about that they're not, I go way back with these guys, compared to my, Clan of Zymox or KMFDM, Public Enemy, tons. There's quite a few bands that go back into, like, really far back into my youth, including, I've told the story of Zymox, so I'm not going to go into that again, but I, thanks to a concept I saw on Instagram, I thought, I'll have some fun and build a tribute vest of my own. Even though, not that I really care, but the modern internet seems divided. Some people love Black Flag, some people hate them because of Greg Ginn, or hate them because they hate Henry Rollins. The fact is, I don't care. I do not give one flying fuck. So, understand, this is for me, and it's for fun. I do foresee another industrial vest in my future, somewhat similar to the one that I intend to be buried in, that I, I'm always on my motorcycle with, but I'm designing a front 242 back patch, and I'm getting that itch, to go through with the project. Anyway, all I'm gonna do today, because I do not want my videos, whenever I decide to film myself working on this vest, to be stupid long. I don't like that. This is going on the back top. I showed a picture of this, I think, when I first started doing this. So, see, there'll be space here for other patches. I have some ideas about that, so that's pretty cool. That works good. I am trusting that this is in fact the proper center for this, because kinda not. If I were truly a perfectionist, I would have a tape measure or some shit, but that's not on the agenda. About to get another roll of this, going through it. Medical tape really does the job for me most of the time. Bigger patches like this, though, sometimes will, once I get to actually sewing it, sliding around a little bit. It seems like whenever I want to do large size sewing jobs, I tend to get it a little off. But again, truthfully, I'm not quite the perfectionist. Combination of maybe being lazy, I guess, but also no real artistic ability. I don't have the patience. I just don't have the patience. This patch, this embroidered black flag patch, came to me from the Ukraine. If you look on Etsy, my friend Andriy, I hope I said that right, I've ordered quite a bit from this guy. Those big skinny puppy patches you've seen on a couple of my pieces of gear, he made those. His store is called Mr. Green Stitch. And you guessed it, his profile picture is a picture of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, but he's totally green instead of blue. And I've never seen the movie. I don't know a thing about it. Don't care to. But anyways, I love this guy's work. He does all this really awesome embroidery stuff and gets everything so precise. Whatever you send him, he can make it work. So this isn't in his shop. Custom patches kind of are, but I sent him this graphic. This was actually taken off of an album cover, resized in GIMP, kind of, reshaped a bit, and then I sent it off to him. What's the word I'm looking for? Scanned image. I modified it, and he made it perfect. Just putting a little pressure and a little bit of heat on that medical tape so that that stuff will kind of stain your fabric with the glue if you leave it on there for any length of time, and it doesn't really come off. But in terms of holding something in place, I've always used it. Now's the part where I take a big length of this, run it through the needle first so that I can keep a hold of that. Now I'm going to continue pulling this out with this in my hand and this in my hand. The thread is easily going to hit the floor. And I'm going to place my foot over top of the needle, in theory. And pull way out there. Way out there. I need a huge section of thread. Now the tricky part, getting that adequate knot. I like this vest. This was a good purchase. Kind of a, not quite the acid washed I would have liked to have had, but still kind of a distressed gray. Very slate gray, but I don't know, actually, I take that. I'm sure at some point you guys have seen, and definitely if you follow my Instagram, you've seen my other gray vest. Not quite as hot as this one, but that's the one that I got my KMFDM Don't Blow Your Top back patch on that the band signed when I got to meet them. If you're interested in seeing that, hit up my Instagram. I met KMFDM, and a couple years back I also got to meet and greet and chat for a good 10 or 15 minutes ish with Ronnie Moorings from Clan of Zymox. That was, I wish there were a way to convey how important that was to my life, but how special I should say. But anyway, as for Black Flag, I would love to know a fraction of what Greg Ginn forgot with regards to playing guitar. I think he's cool as fuck. And Henry Rollins. I love Rollins' band and Black Flag era. And he's such a crazy, he's such a crazy, brilliant guy. So traveled, cultured, bit hyper. I wouldn't even know what to say to Henry Rollins. Like, I would love to pick his brain and hear his stories in person, but I wouldn't know where to begin. I'm going to start somewhere in the top area here because it's easy. Easy place to get a start. Lock it all down. I tied over and over and over again to make a fat knot on the back of this thread. It's important when running your stitches to not get greedy. And what I mean is, do not make a big stitch. Those suck. They look like crap. They don't hold well. They just, all around a bad idea. It's hard to explain it though. You just kind of have to sew stuff a couple times and you sort of figure out the general range, a good size for a stitch. I'm gonna have to shed a little light on this. Not just the size of the stitch, but also how far apart between stitches. Like, some kind of sewing machine tight is not necessary, but you don't want to go too far in between, like too far apart, because then you'll have loose space, and that's also not good. If all goes well, because I'm still waiting on some patches from Poland. I got a patch coming from France, and then I got some stuff coming from Mexico, and so on. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. If all goes well anyway, I'll at least get to break this in once for sure, because here in September, going with a friend of mine from work up to see Cannibal Corpse. Which, I'm not a huge metal head. Like, I am far more of an industrial guy overall. But like death metal and stuff, I like some bands over the years I've picked up on, and like I'm cool with the scene. It's just not my biggest passion, but regardless, I think Corpse Grinder is awesome. Like, he's just an all-around awesome dude, good guy, and clearly puts on a very fun show. So I'm gonna go see Cannibal Corpse and wear this vest if it's all done by then. Because even though this tribute vest is mostly for fun for me, I would still like to give it a proper welcome to the world, kind of instill it with that live concert energy because it deserves that. It's weird in my head. It's kind of like my way of saying thank you for letting me create you. Let's go to the show and get in the pit. I guess if someone, it's been a while since I've been in a hardcore pit or at a hardcore show. That used to be my scene once upon a time, just because I had friends and bands, and we'd go all over town and out of town, and had just so many awesome experiences back, when I had half of a life. I couldn't tell you in my lifetime, between both local and, big time shows, how many concerts I have been to in my life. It's a passion. Even though I, oddly enough, kind of hate people, I'm good when I'm at a show. I'm okay with the atmosphere. But anyway, with friends and hardcore bands and stuff, back when, I have been in many a mosh pit. And punk bands too, man. I don't remember if I have ever told this story or not on my channel, but way back in 2006, I went and saw Rancid. I can't remember if it was the Agora or the House of Blues. I'm 90% certain, actually, it was House of Blues, but it might have been the Agora. But anyway, they were playing the song Hooligans, or part of it. I think the tour was actually, no, it wasn't all about Indestructible. Anyway, they were playing Hooligans, and I kid you not, there was this kid in the pit. The pit was nuts in there. There were times during that Rancid show that, metal bands dream about. Like, the pit was almost the entire damn floor. The lights were blasting, and there were bodies flopping around all over the place. Like, that was truly the most insane mosh pit I personally have witnessed with my own eyes, was that Rancid concert. And this kid, maybe 10 feet from me, dude's arm come up, smacked him in the mouth, and his tooth went flying out of his mouth. Like, he got smacked so hard, his head snapped back and forward like lightning speed. But I actually saw his tooth get smacked out of his mouth, and I lost sight of it pretty quick, but I saw it, and he had blood starting to pour out of his mouth. My dude takes his shirt and holds it up to his mouth while he gets himself together in a very brief amount of time. I think he registered what happened and was cool with it. Like, it must not have hurt that bad. It must have, I don't know, but he took that like a champ. And this is all happening fast, man. Rancid, didn't even notice. We weren't exactly right up front, but I wasn't really far back either. But kid got the tooth smacked out of his mouth, and he almost, as soon as he got together, he wiped his mouth a bit with his shirt and then hopped right back in the pit and was running around and swinging his arms and just doing the thing. That shit was crazy. I'm glad to say that even at the most ridiculous shows, I have never had a bone broken I've had some bruises. Never had a bone broken, and definitely never had a tooth smacked out of my mouth. I can't tell for sure if that kid was an idiot or an absolute badass. Like, maybe both. But that stuck with me. That's been, so long ago. But trying to think why I got down that road. What I started thinking about the old Rancid concert. Yeah, anyway, going to see Cannibal Corpse. I guess it depends on the age group that's there. This generation seems a little, I don't know, some of the stuff I see online and all that, it's really stupid. That, and I'm guilty as well of, you get a base group consensus and that you judge an entire generation of people based on like a handful of them. It's bad practice. But I'm at an age now where I'm not exactly actively seeking to start a pit or roll in the pit, but I still to this day, no matter what concert I go to, can't really deal with being in the back or being in the stands or in a balcony or any of that kind of stuff. I did that. I was in the stands or the balcony some years back when I went to see Wu-Tang. They were pretty expensive tickets, and I wasn't even for sure what all that was going to be like to go up there, because I always just buy general admission, right? I had a fantastic view. I got amazing video of different parts of Wu-Tang set, and DJ Mathematics when they break off and go straight hip hop, and just have the DJ take over and go nuts. The view was great, but I didn't feel that way. Like, I didn't like it. I just really prefer to be in the pit at any show. People always trying to sidestep you and step in front of you and work their way up and all that, and you gotta know how to push people back without outright pushing them, and how to kind of keep your space. There's like a whole art to, going to shows, especially the kind of shows I tend to go to, and how to keep your place. And yeah, for seeing KMFDM and seeing Pig when I went to see them, and like I said, I don't actively seek out the pit anymore. I'm getting a little old, but at the same time, I can't resist it. Any show I go to, you can bet that if there's a pit gets started, I'm gonna be in it. Now dig this. I went through the wrong spot and sewed this shut. You see that? So when you're sewing and not paying attention, that happens. So we're gonna fix it live and on camera. Just gotta figure out how I did this. There it is. See, I went through the back of this. My hand wasn't under the flap where it should have been. I think I missed the spot there a bit. Nope, it's one stinking thread. Scissors might be sufficient. I might need to go get my thread ripper. Yeah. Don't want to mess that up. Trying to come back through the hole on a patch. Always such a... Okay. I had to edit that because I'm going to fix my mistake, but I couldn't find my thread ripper. Thought it was in my sewing box of stuff there, and it wasn't. I tried to come back through the hole, and I missed it by a bit, and now I've got this mess. So what I'm going to do is take this spot here. I have to be very careful to not pierce my thread, or I'm going to have to make a whole new loop. We are going to come under you here. Gotcha, sucker. I was prepared in case I had to pull that through, but we're good there. to sort my mess. Yep, look at that. Came to the wrong spot entirely. Okay, so we're back to here now, right? Easy peasy. Well, more or less. The result of my mistake is going to be just a little bit of wasted thread because I have to go backwards a few stitches from where I was to correct this. You'll see what I mean here shortly. Now you're probably wondering, if you're sewing and you make a mistake in a video, why didn't you just edit it out? No one would know. Well, I thought it might be interesting to, if anyone's actually bored enough to watch all of this, might be interesting to show how you can fix mistakes. Okay, so all tied up there. Still have a mile of thread here, so I would say we are good. Yeah, see, I got myself caught up in something here. So that's part of the vest. I see. That's not my thread, that's part of the seam of this, so we'll just dispose of that. Okay. Anyway. See, I made it up to here-ish. Scoot that the hell out of the way this time. See, this is pretty... I made a mess right there. I think the upshot of that is that stays locked down, but I'm still going to go back a bit. The part where I was sewing and messed up was about here, so I'm going to come back here with these threads here, where are these stitches here, like before these, all the way back to here. That way these stitches don't go anywhere. Another way I could do it is take tweezers and pull some of these out, get back here and tie a knot, and then continue on. But that's extra work that I don't need to do if I just go this route. Since everything's pitch black, can't really see it anyway. This time I gotta be freaking careful because that corner's gonna get me again if I don't. By doing it this way, I save a little bit of time, but also if over the course of wearing it, and over the course of time, one of them stitches that's loose back here with no real backing were to back out, it can't go anywhere because it is thoroughly locked down all the way back here with this new set of stitches that is holding it down. So it's really not able to go in anywhere, let alone be particularly noticeable by anybody. Unless there's somebody with perhaps mental problems that actually find my voice relaxing. My nerdy, monotone-ish voice. I don't think it's fun. I like ASMR and it's fun, but I can tell you two things I was never ever built for. One, attracting a lady. Definitely not built for that. And two, giving anybody tingles with my voice. That's okay. It is all for fun. Damn it. Stupid thread keeps catching on either my chair or the corner of my desk. Butthole. This space back here is pulling the front forward. I gotta be very careful about that this time. I have this little bit of loose thread on the corner from the previous set of stitches. I'm gonna have to make that disappear once I get this done. For now, I'll leave it right where it is. Okay. So far, so good. See that? That'll go away easily. And there we go. So this is the life, the struggles of sewing patches. Kind of like, I guess, working on a car. There's always something that crops up. Always another problem. And speaking of that, I got that coming. I'm seriously about to have to lose $550 thereabouts that I almost don't have. Almost. Because one of my front driver's side wheel bearing is going bad. It started making some noise recently and I'm not super mechanically inclined, so I took it to a garage that's nearby where I live. Mechanic and I took a ride and he drove it and listened to it. He said, yep, the wheel bearing's starting to go bad. Still safe to drive for a little bit here, but today is Wednesday and I'm dropping it off at the garage Saturday. Unless some kind of super nasty thunderstorm crops up, I'll just ride my bike to work anyway. I'm paid bi-weekly. If it were possible to ride my bike every single day, it would only cost me maybe $20 for 2 weeks worth of travel. I love that. So love that. Well, more or less. I guess it's a tad bit more expensive for me because I always keep a bottle of seafoam in my saddlebags. I don't use a lot, mind you. That's a bad idea, but I always throw a little bit in my gas tank every single time I fill up my bike, just to keep everything nice and crispy clean in there. I mean, my bike is one of the few of its generation, you know, where it's a 2015 that's still carbureted rather than fuel injected. Do I wish it were fuel injected? Kinda. I do like the sound of carbs though, especially mine, because mine are jetted. And I've got Vance and Hines pipes custom pipes on there, so it's loud and sounds pretty. Not the sit and wake up the neighbors type of thing loud, but definitely deep and rumbly. You just can't quite get that sound, I don't think. I mean, with the right set of pipes, I guess anything's possible, but there's a certain something about carbureted bikes that just I do like. I consider throwing in, a few splashes of seafoam every time I fill up to be my concept of sort of pampering those carburetors a little bit, keeping the carbon buildup to a minimum. There's a stitch, and then there, just less than half a fingernail of space in between. Feeling this video is going to be longer than I intended just because of my mistake back there. I can't be mad about that though. It always happens when you're sewing stuff in. It's going to happen at some point, but I think it's the first time in any video I posted that I made a mistake on camera and was able to demonstrate a method for fixing it, well, covering it up and fixing it. The stitches I make are not super tiny, but they can't be wide. You gotta be, like I said in the beginning, you cannot get greedy. Or you'll have a loose patch that you can pull on it, and yeah, we don't want that. We don't want none of that. For a minute I forgot my own advice though, which is don't get greedy. Sometimes when you're pulling through the knot, the thread will eventually want to kind of twist and knot up, and it's fine. Not a big deal. Just have to backtrack a little bit, even up the two separate lines. Once they're even, pull back through and you're good. See? Easy peasy. I was working with what was comfortable for me, and then I looked up and saw, I realized where my camera's sitting, and I'm like, uh-oh, maybe I'm slightly out of focus there. If I was, sorry. Will I have enough to finish this in one go? If not, I gotta tie a knot at the end and start a new loop and continue where I left off. But it is satisfying when you can do it in one go. Let's make sure, okay, that one felt low. I want to make sure that the back was pulled all the way through and that there wasn't a knot back there. That'll kind of screw you up sometimes. If I didn't know any better, I would say we're making progress. I feel like working on a project like this, like every piece of gear I've made, almost, like I filmed one of them, like I prefer to be listening to the music of the band I'm soloing on. And since this is the first time I've ever decided to make a full-blown tribute vest, I really feel like I should have one of my Black Flag records on it, but world don't work that way. I'd get struck with copyright for playing unlicensed music on my channel, so I guess that's a no. Those that have made any kind of battle jacket in their life know patches like this, big ones, it takes time, doesn't it? At least if you're going to do it somewhat nice. You could do this thing real sloppy and quick and it would look like trash, but it'd be done fast. I started getting a little greedy with my speed there a while ago, and look what happened. So See if I can shore that up a bit before I move on. Alright, almost there. About halfway. Well, maybe a little more than halfway, actually. Mr. Confident Human, if you had to pick one Black Flag album that was your favorite, which one would that be? For me, that would be In My Head. I know the de facto answer is the album Damaged for most, but I guess my sense of taste, my sensibilities, my preferences or whatever are a little different. I mean, the truly punk era of Black Flag's great. I like those tunes, good stuff. But I really enjoyed when they started making, I guess, the music that everyone didn't like. I like the experimenting with heavy metal and sludge metal and all that. I think that stuff's great. One of my favorite songs to just bang out to when I'm in a good mood is called White Hot. If you're not familiar with that Black Flag tune, look it up and listen to it. It starts off sounding like it's going to be kind of a blues rock thing, briefly, just very briefly. getting comfortable and just putting in the work and keep sliding out of your view. I don't have a monitor in front of me or anything. I can't tell what you're seeing. My camera's above my head. So this is arm's length away from me, so it's not the most comfortable. Sorry about that. I'm not really too convinced anyone would watch this far, but even if they did, then I guess it does serve as background noise. My mic is over here on a boom arm, so I'm not sure if it's capturing the actual thread noises or not. I hope so. If our roles were reversed, I would enjoy that sound more than me rambling and talking. Here we are. I think I mentioned at the beginning that this was made from a Ukraine seller that I have bought many patches from over the years. Regular patches and then some of these big back stripes as well. Mr. Green Stitch. Based in the Ukraine. And because of that, he is of course not subject to U.S. copyright laws and whatnot, so he'll make just about anything you send him. I think. I doubt he would do anything racist, like swastikas or something, and I also know for a fact, because I had asked about one, not a big patch, just a regular sized one, but one for Piedletka, and he will not do Russian. So if you try to ask him to create a Russian band patch, he will not do it. He's not rude or arrogant about it. He just politely says that, asks for your understanding, given where he lives, and, he doesn't want to make those. But otherwise, any band, any graphic, any design you throw at him, he can pretty much make an embroidered version of it that's all die cut like that. Now this patch is basic, right? Like it's just hollowed letters, a lot of black, white outline, easy. And my skinny puppy patches, the big back stripe ones, are a little more complex, but not by much. But these are the designs I picked, but his capabilities. You just have to go to his shop, I guess, on Etsy and look for yourself and see like what he can do, because he can make some of the patches he has in his shop are pretty wicked awesome. In terms of colors and graphics and designs and all that, he can do a lot. And I mean, I'm mentioning the guy because I love him. I think he's made some of my battle vests, like stuff I really wish I had, come to real life. He was like I first found him because I was looking for a Revolting Cox patch. I love the Revolting Cox, Revco. And he was the only person that had them. Like, had them correct. Like, the exact design, logo, and all that stuff. Embroidered. And he's not, the dude doesn't, like, he's not sponsoring me. He doesn't even know that I have a YouTube channel, let alone that I'm mentioning him. So I'm just mentioning Mr. Green Stitch because it's not that kind of thing. I just appreciate this. It takes, not quite as bad as Razor Ray. Razor Ray really does take a long time to produce and ship what he makes, or they make, or whatever, but even though the quality is excellent, not quite that long, but it probably took, from when I ordered this, maybe a month to be produced and shipped from Ukraine. I had a bright red skinny puppy back stripe like this made once, and that took like a month and a half. Like I said, hell, I'm grateful I could get it at all. One, for even being able to make exactly what I wanted, what I wish I had. Because it's not something easily found, easily available. And number two, I guess I should be extra grateful because, given the current situation in the world right now, even being able to receive mail from Ukraine, I guess, is a good thing. Getting close to, where is it here? There's where I started at, and here's where I am. So, despite having to go back a bit and fix a small mistake, I still have plenty of thread. That is my style. I always do that with every patch I sew. I tend to take more thread than is necessary just for convenience, comfort, cushion, what have you. I might even try to keep going back to the corner there where I messed up, having not one where I came back and did it once, but doing it twice. Man, no way that's going anywhere. It's really a waste of thread and unnecessary, truth be told, but I don't know, why not? See if I can pick up the pace a little bit now that I'm in the safe zone here. Can't really screw anything up. Nope. actually visually lost track of my stitch for a second there, so I had to go back and look. I am going to go through this corner here again real quick. Just basically running stitches over top of stitches, which would look kind of nasty if this weren't all pitch black like this. Now I'm going to tie it off and call it a day. Oh, and make that stupid loose thread disappear that from when I made my little boo-boo. Bloody hell. And I got through the whole thing without giving myself tetanus. How about that? My video sucks, which I know it does. I would just like to again present that I am not a professional anything. Not a professional artist, not a professional creator, not a professional content creator, I should say. No production, talent, knowledge, education, or skill whatsoever. Just a dude with a silver microphone and a smartphone. Oh, and an iPad, I guess. I use that sometimes to edit. And we'll make one big, twist this up like that. Okay. Get rid of this dude. Look at that. Came up ever so slightly like this way, but not much. Didn't slide too much. I'm satisfied. What do you think, guys? Huh? Oh, that piece of crap. Get right in there. Dig into the patch ever so slightly there. There we go. Get everyone adjusted. Make sure we're feeling right at home. And there we are. If you hung out through all this, I appreciate the company. Thank you. Yeah, this is the Underconfident Human signing out. See ya.